Welcome to Oasis, where stories soothe your mind and whisper you into restful sleep. Salzburg, 1764. A thick layer of winter snow blanketed the cobbled streets of Getreidegasse. The windows of house number 9 glowed warmly against the dusk. It was the residence of the Mozart family. Inside, the fireplace crackled softly as pine wood burned, whispering like countless tiny elves exchanging secrets. Flames flickered atop a brass candelabrum, casting dancing halos of light upon the oak-panelled walls, bathing the entire parlor in a warm amber glow. Leopold Mozart stood by the hearth, his violin, inlaid with Persian mother-of-pearl, shimmering in the firelight. As the bow gently met the strings, Tartini's Devil's Trill Sonata poured forth like a cascading stream. The notes leaped through the air, at times as fierce as a storm, at others as gentle as drizzling rain. The sheepskin score curled slightly at the edges from the rising warmth, while the crackling of the pine wood seemed to provide a natural rhythm to the melody. 8-year-old Wolfgang nestled in the folds of his mother Anna's dress, the embroidered irises imprinting delicate patterns upon his cheek. His eyelashes, gilded by the firelight, fluttered as his blue-grey eyes flickered in time with his father's music. Anna's hand gently stroked his curls, while the woolen shawl draped over her shoulders, woven with patterns of Salzburg dogwood, glowed faintly in the fire's warmth. "Father," young Mozart suddenly spoke, his voice still carrying the innocence of childhood. The vibrato on the G-string feels like snowflakes landing on my eyelashes. The metaphor caused Leopold's bow to pause slightly. He turned to his son, his gaze filled with quiet pride. On the mantelpiece rested a unique family teaching tool, a stack of musical scale cards illustrated with cartoon animals, a playful learning aid Leopold had designed himself. As Leopold reached the cadenza, a sudden burst of blue sparks erupted from the fireplace. Unlike ordinary embers that fell and vanished, these sparks hovered in mid-air, forming the shape of a musical staff. Each glowing ember aligned perfectly with the notes his father was playing. Anna noticed the intensity in her son's eyes. Silently, she rose to retrieve her parenting journal, determined to record this extraordinary night. Wolfgang's eyes widened. He reached out, eager to touch the strange floating sparks. Just as his fingertips were about to make contact, the bricks of the fireplace began to ripple and distort, transforming into a staircase that shimmered with the iridescence of mica. His father's violin faded into the distance, replaced by the delicate plucking of a harp. A warm current of air wrapped around him, lifting him into a world beyond imagination. When Wolfgang opened his eyes again, he found himself standing upon a cloud. But these were no ordinary clouds. They shimmered with the luster of mother-of-pearl and felt as soft as freshly spun wool beneath his feet. In the distance, a Baroque-style floating theatre loomed over the horizon, its domed ceiling adorned with tuning forks made of moonstone. Each time a cloud drifted by, it struck the tuning forks, producing different harmonies. The strings of a crystal harp were solidified rainbows, each one glowing with a unique hue. Inside the pipes of a grand organ lived nightingale spirits, their songs flowing like stardust through the sky. Here, the vibrations of a double bass turned into the scent of lavender, while the sound of a flute became silver ribbons of peppermint that coiled around Wolfgang's fingertips. Welcome to the kingdom of music, little magician. A voice, ethereal as a whispering breeze, reached him. Wolfgang turned to see a fairy smiling at him. She wore a gown woven from musical scales, her silver hair adorned with a treble clef-shaped crystal pin. As she moved, the notes on her skirt quivered, producing soft, harmonious chimes. With a gentle wave of her hand, morning mist condensed into bassoons, and the hues of twilight flowed into violas. In this dreamlike world, a viola transformed into a gentleman in a tailcoat, who delighted in telling dry jokes while elegantly performing Wolfgang's favorite minuet. The triangle was a mischievous little sprite, always chiming at the most unexpected moments, adding a touch of whimsy to the music. "Let's play a game," the fairy said, tapping her fingers in the air. Meteors streaked across the twilight sky, leaving behind golden contrapuntal melodies. To Wolfgang's amazement, dewdrops recorded modulation techniques. Those in B-flat major were oval, while those in D major had tiny pointed edges. The discovery reminded him of his father's animal-themed music cards, but here the learning tools were far more magical. As the timpani rolled, the entire dreamscape rippled in hues of warm orange, as if steeped in a bath of almond milk. Starry notes melted onto his skin like golden honey, while cloud chairs exuded the fresh scent of wool. In this world, trills flitted like blue-winged butterflies, and rests curled like sleeping snails, each musical term given vivid living form. Wolfgang awoke just before dawn. Morning light streamed through the frost-rimmed window, refracting into iridescent patterns upon the cherry-wood ink bottle. His right hand remained poised in the gesture of grasping stardust, while the quill's tip left tiny ink blots, like tadpoles, upon the sheepskin parchment. The scent of orange blossoms from his mother's hair intertwined with the lingering memory of bergamot from his dream, triggering a sudden recollection of the arpeggios he had nearly lost to the storm clouds. Unable to contain his excitement, he seized his quill and began transcribing the melodies from his dream. The manuscript carried a crisp scent, reminiscent of fresh green apples, and each note felt like a ripe berry, bursting with vitality. He revised the key signature 3 times before settling on the one that best captured the magic of that dreamlike night. Along the edges of the sheet, he sketched tiny dancing snow sprites, as if to forever preserve the memory of this extraordinary moment. When Leopold pushed open the oak door to the music room, he saw his young son wholly immersed in composition. The notes spilled onto the parchment, gradually coalescing into the serenade in D major 3rd movement. The piece retained the innocence and wonder of childhood, yet also hinted at the brilliance of a future maestro. 23 years later, as the court composer of Vienna, Mozart wrote to his wife Constanze, "On that winter night, the spirit of music lent me his harp. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see the notes dancing in the firelight." Today, in the British Museum, the manuscript of K100 still bears mysterious scorch marks along its edges, as if whispering the tale of that magical night that never truly burned away. On that cold winter's eve, young Mozart, through the realm of dreams, touched the very essence of music. The experience shaped not only his compositional style, but also planted within him an undying love for music. From that night onward, whenever he created, he would always recall the dreamscape where notes waltzed like living sprites, forever etched into the fabric of his soul.